Our first game on tap, we have number 25, Kansas State on the road at number 7, Texas. Those are the AP poll numbers. I did not update with the college football playoff. That's probably my fault. But anyway, Texas, a 4-point home favorite in this game, carries an over-under of 50.5 points. Kicks off at noon Eastern on Fox, getting the day started right, This is a massive, monumental game in the landscape of the Big 12 that I'm sure your numbers will get into. Texas has won the last 6 in a row here, and also the last 5 that have been played in Austin. I think the market really underrates Kansas State. Maybe not in this exact example because of the point spread, because Texas is missing starting quarterbacks, stuff like that. But they've lost on a 60-yard field goal to a top 15 team in Missouri, and then they lost one game to an Oklahoma State team that's on the upswing in Stillwater. That's a difficult place to play. And all of a sudden, everyone just writes them off. I mean, shoot, they just climbed back into the rankings, which to me is ridiculous. And they think it's ridiculous too, because in their last 2 games, they've beaten TCU and Houston by a combined score of 82-3. They are going full scorched earth. Now, I don't know if we're going to get another 40-something-0 game this week, but they do have a new quarterback on the scene. Kansas State does that, being Avery Johnson. He's their second highest quarterback recruit ever signed in Manhattan. And in his debut, he rushed for 5 touchdowns. So this kid's pretty special. He's been playing really well. He is still splitting snaps, though, with Will Howard. It's a very situational thing, but Chris Kleiman is making it work. They're doing, I think, a really terrific job with it. On the other side, Quinn Ewers, he's still week to week with an AC sprain in his throwing shoulder. Malik Murphy was okay. I guess he was fine. Didn't really light the world on fire versus a defense that let Josh Hoover light the world on fire. So I think I would have liked to see a little bit more from Malik Murphy. But it's new. He's thrown into the fire. Didn't expect to be starting. Texas is on in at least 3-back rotation, I say, because they're led by Jonathan Brooks, but they also have really talented freshman CJ Baxter, who I think is going to be special for many years, and also Savion Red, who gets worked. And fun fact, Texas has a Savion Red and a Jadon Blue in the running room, so I think that's just kind of funny. Not actionable, but funny anyway. Kansas State, really good against the run. They're 12th in EPA, 18th in success rate allowed. They played some really good rushing teams too. TCU, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech lately has been pretty good in the ground game. I'm interested to see how well the Wildcats fare in this game. The last few outings have just been, look, we're bigger and more talented than you, and we're just going to run the ball straight at your face. And I'm not sure that's going to fly against Texas.
Growing up in public schools in Indianapolis, Brett, red and blue, like are Crips and Bloods, is that still a thing, or are we all way past that? It's something we haven't thought about in a long time, right? So that's what I think about when someone says red and blue to take us away from college football. Bringing us back to college football, Brett, you mentioned it. Now that we're officially into CFP top 25 season, I'm going to give a quick comparison between the CFP rankings and my most deserving ranking for any top 25 team that we discuss. I'll do the article that I do for the lines.com every week too, and that'll really break down the biggest differences. But for these teams, they're both in the committee's top 25. Both are underranked by 3 spots for me. I'd have number 23, Kansas State, at number 20. And the committee's number 7, Texas, at number 4. I'm going to spend more time on Texas here because the difference between 20 and 23 is not that great. The difference between 4 and 7, at least in December, is huge. The Longhorns are 5th in record achievement. There's only a 19% chance that the average top 25 FBS team would be 7-1 or better against Texas's schedule to date. And the Longhorns are 10th in relative scoring margin, outscoring their opponents by 8.3 points per game more than would be expected of the average top 25 FBS team. If I'm a Texas fan, I'm upset that my team isn't in the committee's top 4, but there is a long way to go. Brett, quick aside, my biggest takeaway from the committee's show was they're still using bad phrases, talking about ranked wins, top 25 wins. Like, that's still bad. It hasn't changed. I did like that the chair called it the Red River Shootout. I thought that was great. He didn't conform to the showdown or rivalry or whatever else they're trying to call it. But my biggest concern with the committee's rankings, Brett, and I know that's not what this show is, so really quickly, they just group teams by number of losses. Like 1 through 5 are undefeated teams. 6 through 14, I think it was, is 1-loss team, or 13 are 1-loss teams. And then 14 to 23 are 2-loss teams with a couple G5s at 24-25. Like, to me, they looked at the losses and they said, all right, let's stack them up with the knees. Like, no, we have better ways of doing it that we can differentiate between teams that have the same or even different records. One can be more deserving than the other. So I don't want to get too worked up about it because it's the first one, but we've seen the first rankings serve as somewhat of an anchor for some teams moving forward. So I would hate to see a team be punished or unjustly rewarded for an initial ranking from the CFP. Anyway, that's too much about that. This game has a watchability score of 9.7. It's the number 2 game of the week for me. I'm very, very excited about this game, Brett. It's going to be awesome. Between this game and Bedlam, which I have a feeling that's the rivalry game you were referencing earlier, we're going to have a much clearer picture of the Big 12 championship game race after this week. Right now, it's a little muddy.
Maybe.
I think either way,
to which it gets worse.
Either way, I think we're going to have some clarity. Whether it's the clarity we expect or not based on spreads, that's a different discussion. But we got to start seeing how these teams shake out with their wins and losses, because right now it's just a cluttered mess, which I absolutely love. The winner of this game will have approximately a 3 in 4 chance to make it to Arlington, so pretty darn good, while the loser will have approximately just a 1 in 4 chance. Brett, 50% leverage. That's absolutely massive for just one game if it's not the last game of the season, right? So the winner will remain in the college football playoff picture as well, especially Texas. I know Kansas State's pretty far down there. They're still in the picture. They got a big hill to climb. I'm really talking Texas here. But the loser of this game, even if it's Texas, will find it tough to make the 4-team field. So there's a lot on the line here in Austin. I have Texas minus 5.5. It's a 65% win expectancy for the Longhorns. However, it should be noted that the injury, week-to-week status of quarterback Quinn Ewers, that's not explicitly factored into the model's projection. The model's been pretty dialed in on Texas this season. Longhorns have been between number 6 and number 12 overall every single week. The offense has been between number 8 and number 16 every week but one. And after the beginning of the season, at number 16, the defense has been between number 4 and number 12 ever since. This team is legit, might be the best team in the Big 12 Conference. Kansas State's power rating of 19.1, corresponding ranking of number 12, are both season best. This is the 12th best team in the country by my power ratings right now, Brett. They are certainly surging, and it's coming at the right time. My power rating suggests that this Kansas State team's actually better than the 2022 team that won the Big 12 championship, Brett. In fact, the last time Kansas State finished number 12 in my power ratings or better was when they finished number 6 in 2012. That's when Colin Klein, current offensive coordinator, led the Wildcats to really just being one upset loss at Baylor away from a spot in the BCS National Championship that game, on his way to being a Heisman finalist as well. Kansas State's defense has been largely what the model expected this year. They entered the year number 25. They're currently ranked number 23, but it's the offense that has performed much better than expected. They started number 26. They are now up to number 11. As a result of that offensive improvement, Kansas State's power rating has been upgraded 8.3 points, Brett, since the preseason. Only SMU, Jacksonville State, and Oregon have experienced a larger in-season upgrade than the Wildcats. For as nice of a year as it's been in Manhattan, Texas does represent the best offense, the best defense, and the best overall team that the Wildcats will face all season based on my current numbers. My model gives the Longhorns the advantage on both sides of the ball, and this game is in Austin. Bottom line, my numbers project Texas minus 5.5. It's a 35% chance that Kansas State ends its 6-game losing skid to the Longhorns, as you mentioned, Brett, and earns its first win in Austin since 2011. I was in high school, Brett. No, sorry, that would have been freshman year of college. Still, been a long time.
Look, to talk to numbers, I don't love the ambiguous 4. I feel like that's always a number odds makers kind of lean on when they're like, that's probably within a score. I'm not really sure which way, though. Let's let the market decide. And so they just hang a 4 or 4.5 or a 5, and then they let the market sort it out, which it will, but probably not until Friday or Saturday. So I'm going to be really, really patient, especially in the Big 12 with Texas, with Oklahoma, teams like that. The last minute, and I truly mean last minute, within the 45 minutes leading up to kickoff, that movement has been dead on with how the game goes. We saw it last week with Oklahoma-Kansas. Kansas took a ton of money very late and won outright. We saw it with the Red River, where Oklahoma took a lot of money late and they won outright. So keep an eye on this market. Be diligent. I'm holding because I want to see where it goes. If it moves to 7, then there's way too strong of a market influence for why it went there, and I'm probably not fading it. There's probably not a reality in which I bet Kansas State, to be honest. If it moves lower than 4, then I'm probably going to jump on Texas. And yes, fade that late market steam, like I said, probably not to. Although I really haven't been impressed with the last 2 outings. Just because you said that your model does not account for Quinn Ewers, I docked him 3. I think I'm being a little bit conservative with that. I probably could have gone more, but 3 points is how much I took off them.